Hey legends, today I'm going to share the best settings to capture POV surfing on Insta360's Ace Pro 2. I'll also be sharing the best accessories to use and some tips to shoot like a pro. Let's get into it. So the first thing you want to decide is where you're actually going to be posting the footage. If you mainly shoot on Instagram and stuff, you'll be shooting vertically, whereas if you're on YouTube and stuff like me, you'll mainly shoot in landscape. And it's also good to consider the types of waves you'll be surfing in. If you're just getting barrels, you want to shoot in the highest frame rate possible to get that really clean slow-mo. You might be wondering, how do we even shoot in POV? So I'm going to go through a few accessories that I use. The most important accessory that you'll need is a bite mount. So Insta360 sells this one here. The bite mount is really the only accessory you need to shoot POV surfing, but to be safe, I also use a floaty, and the floaty case is just some extra protection in case you drop it, you don't want it to sink. So this is what the camera looks like with the full setup. If you're mainly using the Ace Pro 2 to capture short form content, you want to be shooting vertically, and they have one of the best accessories I've seen to do that. So they have this vertical horizontal mount that you just clip on, and then you just chuck the normal clip mount on top of it. I'd recommend getting the necklace for it or an arm leash. So this is what the setup looks like. And I'll shoot the exact same settings that I'll go through in this video to shoot vertically. All I do is change the orientation lock so it's capturing vertically. So the most important settings are going to be the resolution and the frame rate. And then for resolution, I always shoot in 4K. And when you're shooting POV surfing, you want to have a minimum of 50 or 60 frames per second. I shoot in 60 frames per second always to capture all that movement. It just makes it really smooth and look more realistic. Now, if you're getting barrels or you're shooting anything where you want that extra slow-mo, you can shoot in 120 frames per second. But with the Ace Pro 2, you actually can't shoot in the widest field of view, action view, which we'll talk about in a moment. So I just shoot in 60 frames per second always. Moving on to the field of view, so this is how wide the angle is going to look and how much you capture when shooting with this camera. And I use action view. This is the widest one they have and it looks the most realistic. And then for the aspect ratio, I shoot in 16:9. I would do 4:3, but you can't use the action view then. For stabilization, I have mine set to standard. I wouldn't even bother putting it on high because standard looks so smooth. Now I'm going to give some pro tips on how to angle the Ace Pro 2 when shooting to capture different parts of your surfing best. So for general use, I'll angle it horizontal with the horizon, point it upwards. So you'll hold it, then pull it up. What this will do is the camera will actually point up and capture more of the lip coming over you in the barrel. So this looks way more realistic. If you just leave it flat, you're actually not even gonna look like you're in the barrel half the time unless you're really deep. Definitely just pull that up when you know you're gonna be getting barreled. And then if you're just doing airs or you prefer to show a bit more of your surfboard, you can always point it down a bit, then it'll see more of your board. I know some people like to do this, but just be careful, especially if you're surfing bigger waves, because you won't actually be able to see the top of the wave. I'd keep it flat for most of your general use. Now we'll go through some general tips which are actually lifesavers. So the first one is the orientation lock on the screen. When you're shooting, the camera will be upside down. So the screen will always shoot like this, otherwise it automatically can change around depending how you're tilting the camera in the moment. So it's good to have that orientation and then you don't need to do any editing in post. The next thing that you must do is put the screen lock on. This is so important because the water drops will touch the screen and absolutely change all your settings. It is so annoying, so make sure you always have screen lock on. And if the water somehow unlocks it, make sure you quickly lock the screen as soon as possible. And then to preserve battery, this is a game changer. Use quick capture mode. So when you pull down from the top to see the general settings, you'll see this little rocket icon in the top left, and that is quick capture mode. Quick capture mode is when the camera is off and then you just hit the record button and it starts recording. And then when you stop recording, it will turn itself off. And this saves so much battery. You can have the longest sessions with this. And then the last really important tip to make sure your footage is at the highest quality possible, go into the settings and then image settings, and you want to go to the bit rate and change it from standard to high. It might actually default already be on high. This is going to make the image quality way better. One of the last important things we need to talk about is water drops on the lens. So the Ace Pro 2 and pretty much every action camera these days comes with a hydrophobic lens, and what this does is it repels water drops way better than the old tech, but it's not perfect. So what I do on the Ace Pro 2 to get rid of water drops is on my wetsuit, I'll just rub on my shoulder and then we'll dunk it in the water and look at the lens to see if there's any water drops on it. If it's still dirty, rub again. And this has been the best strategy for getting water drops off. And I'll do this pretty much before every single wave just to make sure I have a really clean lens, because there's nothing worse than some water drops stuffing it up. And that's how I capture the highest quality footage. If any of you are interested in buying the Ace Pro 2 or just want to check it out, I'll leave a link at the top of the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you found the video helpful or had any questions, leave a comment, I'll get back to you. Keep frothing, legends. I'll catch you on the next one.